the big blonde I had. I wanted a £20 blonde, and I lived this certain area for a 12 months period. I'd done over 80 trips about it, and I got to a stage where I was catching the fish, but I had small eyes, and I had smaller fish, but I never had that big one I was after. And I was going every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm going work in the daytime and then going down fishing, chasing the tide, going at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I remember just before I had it, I remember my partner Lindsay. She wanted to go down to the concert down on the Timber Front, and it was an ABBA tribute concert, and there was loads of friends going out and stuff like that. And I normally I'd go out and I'd drink and get involved and socialise, and I was a miserable prat. I didn't want to go down there, right? But I went down because she wanted me to. The tide was 4:30 in the morning, and all I thought to myself was getting home, put her to bed, and then I'd get my fishing gear and go down. Go down. Then he said it. So I was gone. So basically, and she said, look, we had a big argument on the seafront there, and obviously it is what it is, isn't it? And I ended up getting home. I got my gear and I went down and I went fishing. I never caught nothing that night, but I went down fishing. And then it was a few weeks later I was doing the same thing, and then I actually caught the 27 pound 2 ounce blonde. Me and Stewie Norris, and
awesome.
I had it. But that didn't stop there. There wasn't enough. You know what I mean? Because you know what's there, and obviously, for me, I know I could get a 30 pounder out down there. I know it's there, but it's the hours and that what's gone in, and that spell of my life, and like the next couple of years, obviously with club fishing and stuff like that as well, I nearly lost my relationship. I wasn't there. You know what I mean? You can't go fishing every time, and just it's a selfish thing to do. You can't lead that lifestyle and expect for everybody to sit around waiting for you.
Is that what made you sit back and think about what that angler said to you? I won't say.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I actually look back now and I think to myself, why didn't you take that on board? And it's not just that. I've got other friends what's tell me stories about, like, obviously they've gone to go to the beach and that with their kids and that, and then the last minute get a fishing phone call, and then they decided not to go to the beach and they've decided to go fishing with their mates. And people I respect. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say there's a lot of people that I do respect when it comes to fishing, like that sort of thing. But there are certain individuals I've got the utmost respect for, and what they've accomplished and stuff like that. And for someone that I look up to say that to me, you've got to take it on board. Yeah. And if anything, what's coming out of what I'm saying now is to guys what are doing YouTube stuff and going out fishing and stuff like that, is to think, is it worth it? And fishing can be the best thing. It's saved my life in a way, fishing, but it's also ruined my life in a way. And the only thing I think it is I quite got an addictive personality. I mean, everything I do it to the tenfold. Do you know what I mean? So if I went to go and start tennis and I want to go I'd go out and I'd buy the best tennis racket there is, because that's what I want to do. Tennis shoes, golf. Same with golf. Yeah. Started golf recently. The clubs I've got for golf are probably, I don't know, they'll be ideal for Tiger Woods, but they'll give them me. But you know what I mean? But it's that, and it was a drug to me. Fishing, it was a complete drug to me if I wasn't doing it. I'm not like it now. I do love my fishing still. I go out fishing still, but I'm not. The club scene for me, it's the competitiveness. Yeah. And like the first club, everybody said to me, I was fishing with a lot of guys from Plymouth and that, and they were saying, you need to get in the club scene, Webb, you can get your name in the club scene. And I was like, because I was catching a few fish and stuff like that. And I was like, why did I? He said, because if you catch a decent fish in that, you can get it weighed in. And some of the fish I had out, like big 13-pound small eyes and like big fish, but I wasn't getting no like awards or nothing for it. But to me, it wasn't about that. Anyway, I looked at a club, and I was looking around the different clubs, and to be honest, if you're looking for a club and you want to take your fishing and you want to achieve something, there's probably rod benders in Plymouth. You look at the anglers, what was involved in that. I know some of them aren't fishing now, but you've got some of the best anglers in the specimen anglers in the country in that club, by far. You know what I mean? I know, I'm not just saying that, there is some of the best anglers in the country, and you're not talking guys who are catching the fish once a year, or like, because there's a lot of good anglers around. I'm on about elite top anglers. I mean, I'm not to sound about. There's a lot of good anglers around Plymouth and around Southwest and stuff like that. But from where our neck of woods, I'm on about guys who do the same thing. When you look on the trophies, you got their name, and there's like I'll name one of Rob Wheaton, for example, someone what I very very look up to. And
absolutely amazing angler,
one of the best anglers in the country. You know what I mean? And that, and like Rob York, is that the same thing? It's less guys what I look up to, and that's what I would back then is where I wanted to take my fishing. And yeah, that would be my goals. I want to catch those fish. I want to do the business. Right. You know what I mean? And then I joined like Webb, I had a decent first year. I got very, very lucky first year.
Yeah.
Caught a big turper, which sort of like,
I know.
Yeah, which turned a few eyes, and it was a lucky fish. And then I thought to myself, well, I've got to do something the next year. So I thought I'm going to go and get a big blonde. So you know what I mean? And then obviously I moved to Teignmouth. I did. If you want the club fishing, if you want to take your fishing seriously, club fishing is very, very good because it makes it competitive. But it was bad thing for me,
right?
Because if someone's winning, I want to beat them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I remember Kane Iden had a massive percent, and I think the Teignmouth specimen for a cod was like £7.
Yeah.
And he had like something stupid for this cod, like ridiculous. It's a massive fish, £20 cod, isn't it? And everybody said, "Oh, that's a club year over." And I said, "Why?" And they got a thing like Specimen down there where you've basically got 5 top fish in the club. They had the percentages together.
And Kane was up amongst that, was he?
He's got 300% fish straight away, isn't he?
Right.
And he's only got to get another 4 fish on to add his combined stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, I've got to go and get a couple of 180, 200% fish, and it's achievable, but everybody else is like, nah, it's over. And I think in the end of that year, he beat me in the end. I think it was over 4 fish, because obviously if it was 5 fish, he'd done it, but it was done, he won it over like 15% at the end. But with the fish I had at the time.
So you give him a good run for his money.
Yeah, in the end I went up looking for a £20 cod.
Yeah.
I went up onto Bringing Down and Sandpoint and places like that, looking to try and get a massive specimen of cod out. I remember being there with Slacky one evening, and I put a triple squid on with 2 8 works. And I got this fish on, and it was pulling down, and I thought, this is a good one. And I got it right to the bottom of the rot, and it just fucking spat the hook. I was like, no! And it was like 3 days before, so, you know what I mean? But, yeah, that's me. If the competitiveness I've got, and that got me out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that ever again, if honest. I wouldn't want to take my fishing to that level. I've done what I wanted to do, I've achieved what I wanted to do with that sort of side of it. But I know full well is if I get back to doing that sort of stuff in my fishing, I'm going to basically, the people around me are going to feel for it, aren't they?
Well, the actual Specimen under series has gone down really well because...
Yeah, look who we've done.
I know. You know, Robbie and Jeff you mentioned, Bobby Drew. I mean,
Never
people
fantastic.
like that. It's just
you look at Bobby.
Really
look
well.
at Bobby Drew and the top rods and stuff like that. To me, because the way Bobby fishes, nice lad and that. You know what I mean? And he will become one of the best anglers in the country by far. I know he will. By the time he's like Rob Wheaton's age and that, because he's been brought up around fishing all his life.
Yeah.
And he's got the knowledge and background. And you sit there, and I've been fishing with Bobby, and the way he fishes, he will become one of the best anglers in the country by far, 100%. Specimen anglers in the country, and the knowledge and the hard work he puts in. Lovely lad. I've got a lot of time with Bobby, but. Yeah, and he's an all-round good angler. I mean, Bobby will go to Wales, he'll catch big fish. He'll go down to like shallow beaches and he'll catch big fish, which you look at a lot of other guys, like especially some of the big names in like Wales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The reason that you go and there's guys which I won't go into names and stuff, but you'll go fishing. I'll fish next to him, and they're not casting far enough to cut out on flat calm beaches or like shallow beaches to get the fish.
Yeah.
Where you go and take them to like North Wales or West Wales or deep water venues, and they'll catch fish because they don't need a cast. And I think like Adam, I know obviously with his work gets in the way with a bit with Adam, but Adam, he would probably be the best all-round angler I know, by far.
British record holder as well.
I've fished with him for many years now, and I've fished with a lot of decent anglers, and I mean decent anglers, and he would blow him out the water.
Yeah.
On the day, all-round angler, not specifically Specimen, but he will pull fish out. I mean, if you take him somewhere, he'll pull a fish out every time. Fantastic angler.
So what's the next step for the Specimen Hunter series? Have you got anything else lined up?
To be honest, it's what we're going to try and do now. I don't take my fishing like I used to now. Obviously, work gets in the way, family ties, commitments. I've sort of like, I mean, I spend a lot of time with my kids and stuff, and basically doing like my daughter now. She's 11. And what I don't want to do is like have missed time there as well, from what you know what I mean, when she's a kid.
Make up for it.
Yeah. I'm trying, and you know what I mean. And it's a bit too late with like my oldest now, and I look back and I do feel guilty for it a little bit. You know what I mean? Because
I don't think they'll hold it against you.
No, you don't. Of course they don't. But you do look back and you've got to think to yourself, was it worth it? You know what I mean? That's the thing. But I've had some of the best times in my life.
You can't
fishing.
change it though, can you?
No.
You just got to accept
it. Like every year, I think we were out like constantly every year. Like me, Rob, Gav, and Adam, every single Saturday and Sunday we were gone out fishing. You know what I mean? And then we were going from there and going over to other places and that, like breaming, soling, like doing different stuff, which smooth round in, a lot of different stuff which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then obviously you got to slow down sometime in you. You've got to slow down. And there is fish I'd still like to get. Like I would love to be able to beat my PB blonde, and I know I would be able to. Yeah. It's commitment, and it's one of them, isn't it? But I've done more with my fishing. I've took my fishing to a level which I never thought I'd be able to do. Yeah. I mean, I've ripped for toxic fishing, I've ripped for Sea Angler.
I think everyone can see that.
Magazines. I think obviously now it's exactly the same with that. You look at the way the magazines have gone downhill over the few years. Yeah. And I put it down to the way it runs with the internet and stuff. You know what I mean? You can literally start a digital magazine now, and have guys.
I think there are a few out there.
Yeah, well, I think there's
a few out there.
Exactly, but it's not the same as like with what you used to write for now. You've not got the guys which have got the background. Suddenly you've got.
I don't know if ever that style would come back though. I think, like you say, it's more online stuff now that people like to on their laptops and their iPads.
I see through some of it. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of them.
I mean, you enjoy. I know for a fact that you enjoyed your time writing, and you like putting a collage of photos together, and you like the stories going into TSF and then obviously into Sea Angler. I know you enjoyed doing that. Yeah. You know, it sort of give you a bit of purpose, really. I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. It was just something to focus on. But Sea Angling Adventures itself has taken off like I didn't think it would.
No,
all the hard work that you put into it. I mean, you have to understand, a lot of the guys that watch your stuff on YouTube and on the Facebook page and that, and even when you're here doing all this for the East Riding Yorkshire Council, they like seeing it, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
Well, it's been really tough. Like, I remember when I was doing it on my own with like Sea Angling Adventures of Andy Webb, and then I thought to myself, to get this bigger, I need to open up. I need to start bringing people in. But the trouble with doing this was you not got the same group what started it off, where I had a group of tight friends. And one thing I've learned in the last few years and what it's made me happier in life is having good people around me. Yeah. And what I found is everybody wanted to be your friend. You know what I mean? You get guys coming like that involved and stuff, and they start fishing with you and stuff like that. You think, oh, they're good lads. But what I see is you soon see the back of the people. And it's like, I remember one year, I was looking to get lure guides. We got someone in for the lure guide. We got someone in to do some different parts of the southwest coastline. We got a guy doing the taupe sort of side. We had loads of different guys involved and stuff. And we come up to the European Open, and obviously to do it the first time we ever run it, and hosted it, to come up and do the media coverage for it. And you'll remember this. Sadly, you couldn't make it. I know. You had a passing in your family, didn't you? Yeah. And these guys come up with us, and to be fair, one of the guys, and I'll say his name, I won't say his second name, James, really nice lad, and very good on camera, and a good angler. You know what I mean? He knew his stuff and stuff. There was a mate of his, which, to be honest, he was involved in it, but the only reason he was involved in it was because of James. We had a guy which we knew from Seaview Angling, Ryan, was doing some of the like lure sort of side. Yeah, lure side of it. Yeah. Not necessarily the perfect guy for the job, but could talk on camera and stuff. So it come to a thing which, obviously, I didn't know these people 100% and know how much I could trust these people. But we come up to the Euros, and we've come back, and the thing when you go up there is the atmosphere and the feeling you get when you go up. It's amazing, because obviously people see you on the internet, people think like that, and they come up and want to take photos and stuff, and it makes you feel like you've achieved something. Well, these guys sort of like come back from the Euros and had the idea of trying to still see Angling Adventures off me. And as this man was sit next to me, one of them, Ryan, took him up for coffee, didn't he?
Coffee and biscuits and donuts.
And tried to bribe Nick to get involved.
Chance.
And what the good thing about that whole situation was, where Rich Albones and you were the only two people that told me anything. And
I'll tell you everything, mate.
Yeah, and there was a meeting going on, and instead of letting them, I wanted to turn up to the meeting, and he told me,
I wouldn't let
you wouldn't, not happening.
No.
So he said, if you will turn up to that meeting, Webby, I'm leaving. So I said, all right, I won't go. Because
I know how it would have turned out.
So they're at the Exeter services, these lads, right? And they're trying to basically steal Angling Adventures off me. And as they're both all sat around the table waiting for people to turn up,
I got you to ring them, didn't
I sent a WhatsApp message, okay? And as you can imagine, guys, and this got played all over the internet and stuff, right? So I'll say exactly what I said. And basically, I put down that they come up to the Euros and basically felt what I built up over the years, and basically wanted to try and take it off me. And I was very angry, and I said a lot of things on there, and I did not say anything on there what I would disrespect anybody else. It was all in said, obviously, to the lads in question.
Yeah.
And they were immediately taken away from the project. You know what I mean? And I've James I've spoke to since. Not James Davis Cook, not Cookie. Cookie was not involved in it.
James.
Never James. And I've spoken to him, and we've sort of laid it in bed. He's a nice lad, you know what I mean. And it's just one of those things. I was very disappointed with Craig. I mean, when Craig came involved in the project at the beginning, I had a lot of people telling me I shouldn't have got him involved in it. And I did get him involved in it, and I stuck up for him when people were calling him cheats and stuff like that. I stood by his side and said he's not, you know what I mean? He's a nice lad and stuff like that, and I did feel a little bit let down for that, because I classed him as a friend. I've known him a few years.
I know,
you know, and you did as well, you know what I mean?
I know.
And I felt a little bit let down from that. But
I knew him and his dad.
The other ones, I wouldn't put it past them, you know what I mean? I knew what was going on. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. And there's been loads of stuff what goes on the internet. And sometimes you can't have your say, and it's a bit. It's like Achios. They've done a thing over the lockdown period, and suddenly they had one guy. I won't go into his name because it would just tear up those stuff. But he was basically these two lads were basically voting in for me. And they sent him 500 or 600 votes in each, sitting there vote after vote on email. How sad are you going to be?
That is
the
sad.
owner of Achios actually told me on the phone that these guys were doing it, right? But they allowed it to come in, right? And what I think is, previous to that, about 6 or 7 months before, we'd done a review down Blackpool Sands.
I was there.
Yeah, we've done this review on these two reels, and we give honest opinions when we're doing the reels, right? And what I think, because of what we've done with the Nitron, but we don't give honest, it wasn't a good reel, and they sort of like, it was used as firepower back to me, which in a way I found disgusting.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean, I'd done a review and suddenly doing that, and I've pulled it on it, but it's one of them. People see that, and then you never get to see your same. So it's like the Southwest Place Championship. I mean, the amount of things I had on the internet at the time regarding sea view angling and stuff like that, where people basically hearing lies, and I wanted to go online and put my point across, and I was obviously told by a few, including yourself, not to get involved. Just let them say whatever they're going to say for you to see it, but. Not everybody, because the trouble is, if I go on there and a lot of people say stuff sometimes, I've found it with other groups now, to get me to say something, and basically, if I say that thing, it's giving them more advertisement, and it's making them bigger.
Yeah,
so even these people are very down there, what have got a problem with me, and because Sea Angling level and the adventures and the level I'm at of where I've brought the projects up there, they know if I go in and retaliate to that, it's giving them advertisement. So it puts you in a position where me responding is making them, you know what I mean, it's doing them a favour.
It's fuel for their fire.
Yeah, so I've learned not to do it. But like the Southwest Place Championship, I went down to the shop one day, and you were there in the shop, and I said to him, right, I'm going to come up with an idea of this Place Championships. We're going to hold in the shop. I hope we can hopefully bring anglers in. They can buy some of their past stock and get it in the boxes. And the whole idea of it was to try and help the shop sell some things, right? So first year we'd done it, and it was unplugging the phone in the shop. People couldn't get through and buy tickets. I'm getting all the messages in the phone and that. But the first one went fantastically. The following year, I took the ticket sales away from the shop and on the PayPal and stuff. And it basically what cut it in the end for me was the award ceremony was at the end. The tackle shop owner was supposed to come to the award ceremony as a main sponsor of the shop and give away awards to the winners and stuff, right? 40 minutes I waited. We all waited with a hall full of anglers to basically wait for this guy to come through. Never turned up. I had to do it in the end. Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, I basically said, right, enough's enough. Next year, we're not getting the shop involved. And it went absolutely ballistic. I mean, I had my address put all over the line. I had threats from such and such. I had other people like that. I'm a thief. I've done this. I've done that. Totally, completely out of order. Like totally out of order. And no one, I could never ever say this at the time. You know what I mean? And I'm saying it now because one thing I'd put across to anybody who wants to do this is to know that you keep your circles small.
Yeah.
Don't trust. I mean, you have people around you you trust, and you do well, and you will be happy. But that's what I do now.
Yeah.
I've learned to take people. I used to take people at face value, and always just give them the trust. And what I found over the space of the thing is that doesn't come very often.
No.
Loyalty and friendships, and I'm very loyal. I'm a bit like you, and as you know, I'm very loyal.
Yeah.
And if I say I'm going to do something, or if I can help my friends and that, I would always do that. And that's one thing I've just to do that. You've got to have hard skin to do this role.
I've enjoyed my time with Sea Angling Adventures, and it's ongoing, and I still will enjoy my time with them. You know, and like when you come up here to the LBC to meet the guys. You're always making new friends as well, aren't you? I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it ain't about the celebrity status for you, is it? It's the fact of the matter is knowledge.
Every year I go back, and I know what happens. We come up to the Euros, right? And once I get back, I'll give it a week, and then you get the trolls coming on there. You do. He calls them trolls. That's the only reason I'm using it.
Yeah, sorry, I do.
They go on there and they're writing like silly stuff, and I've got a fishing top with loads of badges on, right? And I'll tell you what, guys, I use it. Only time I ever use it is up here. And do you know why I use it up here? Is because when I used to come up in the olden days, that is what everybody wore.
Yeah, I did
too.
Get
the badges and stuff, and it's the old school part of me with my fishing. Which I come up, and it's part of going to Brid, or if I'm fishing at Brid, I would always wear that. And I've done it, I still do it now. And there was loads of photos of me with badges and just idiots really. It's jealousy. That's what it's down to.
Yeah, but you shouldn't let it bother you.
I don't know. But what I know full well, and that's what I find is when you're doing stuff and you get yourself with doing, like especially in the angling, you start doing better and better. You're always going to get people what want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
there's nothing wrong with them doing it. It's whether, if they feel that, they want to do it, but they haven't got the goal to get up and have a go at it, then it's easy to turn.
Well, I'm a great believer. If you're going to sit there and start talking about something, you've got to have the background knowledge.
Of course you have, yeah.
With the power of the internet now, you don't need that.
No, I suppose not.
No, you don't. You can get someone. We can go and get a guy.
I think it shows within the videos, though, doesn't it?
No, I don't think it does.
You don't?
No, I don't think it does. No.
So you reckon you'd get someone off the street?
I could get someone off the street and get them to go and do a casting video and basically just go, so this is how we're going to cast in.
Yeah.
And he's online showing people how to cast. I've seen people do it. In a way, I feel that it's gone the wrong way, the internet, a little bit.
Right.
It's taken away, like you old school. You look at yourself, and some of the other writers and stuff like that. Like you look at Dave Barr and some of the old school writers and stuff like that. They didn't to do that role. They didn't get given that roles of what they're doing. They done it because of the skills they had and the abilities they had to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, when I started doing it, I had no media skills at all. But they trained me.
Yeah, but exactly.
And I said to you when you interviewed me that the biggest influence in that magazine was Roger Mortimer. I call him Dodger.
Yeah.
He was a deputy editor, and he taught me so much. It's unreal, absolutely so much. And I learned. I basically learned how to put features together through him.
Yeah.
Barney did help here and there, but obviously he had a bigger role to play with the magazine. But Dodger used to give me as much time as he could.
I had people around me like yourself, which when I remember, I got forced into photos. I was never interested in taking photos, guys. All I wanted to do was present and catch big fish.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, you've got to do this and this and that. And he used to get me when I
trained you with a camera.
So when I was away doing my own fishing trips with my mates and stuff like that, within the 24/7 year, I could send photos in to get to Nick, and then Nick could do it and include him in his write-ups and stuff like that. It was forced upon me. But then
it worked well,
the angling. See, the trouble is, people say to me, like you, when you were doing yours, you looked up to that such and such bloke because he taught you to angling. But I never had that.
No.
I didn't have that. I never had no one to say, this is where we're going fishing. And then my dad never took me fishing, my uncle never took me fishing, my friends.
No, the same with me. I learnt mine through Steve, didn't I?
My fishing come from me.
Yeah.
I learned what to do, and you sort of like use your head a little bit along the way. And it's like marks is always going to help, but like same with marks. I spent out like the money. I've got survey maps back at my house, and I've spent fortunes on it. You know what I mean? And some of the stuff I've done to get to marks and stuff like that, and it's
see, that was the difference, though, Andy, because with me, when Steve took me fishing, Steve Puckey, my mate, it was all beaches. Yeah. Easy access, good fishing, loved it. Whereas your trips are all over the coastline, climbing down cliffs and
unfortunately, I'd love it if the marks you could just walk on and walk off, but unfortunately a lot of the decent marks you can't do that.
You can't.
And you've got to put the time into finding them and stuff, and they're not the case of like just going to fish and catching. I mean, I was talking to Paul Medler yesterday evening, and I said to Paul about it and said if he comes down, we'll take him down to go for a big blonde. And I said to him, don't think you're going to get one straight away, because it doesn't work like that. No. It's a time game, and that is one bit of advice I would give to any angler. And people would see it and say, oh, he's really good at fishing and stuff like that. Anybody can do it, guys. Anybody can catch these type of fish, what I've caught over the last few years, and it doesn't make me better than anyone, because I'm not. It's a time game. When it comes to specimen fishing, that is what it's down to. It's a time game.
Dedication.
If you're fishing the right mark, with the right bait, with the right rig, it doesn't make difference with casting. I don't believe that. I know people say, oh, you can cast forever and he's better than he's going to get thing. It doesn't, you know what I mean? There's places. Adam's a fantastic caster, but every time we go fishing doesn't mean he's going to beat me. You know what I mean? He'll put the lead probably 30 yards past me every time. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't. There's times where I come and I'll outfish him. It's down to, a lot of it is down to luck. The fish pick your bait up.
Being in the right place at
the right time, and it's down to dedication, and that is one of the biggest things I'll put across anybody is, if you want it, is you've got to put the work into it. That's all you've got to do. You've got to put the time into it. If you want to go and get a taupe, you know where the rocks marks are. It's easy on the internet now. You put taupe fishing, where can I catch a taupe, and it will come up everywhere, absolutely everywhere. You know what I mean? Because of the way the internet is now. If you want to go and catch a big blonde, you type big blonde rays such and such off the shore, and the names will come up. It's the power of the internet has made it easy for people. It's easy, so easy, and all it is time. But safety, is one thing I would always say to people is obviously is the safety aspect of it. Or always be safe. Don't go ever taking risks. I mean, some of the stuff I've done over my lifetime is unreal. You know what I mean? I'll tell a little story because I know you think, but I said to Nick last night about what is his most special moment in angling.
Yeah,
didn't I?
Yeah.
And he shocked me. Out of all the years that you've been fishing and that, your reply to it was?
It wasn't about me, it was about you. Because I knew the dedication, and this is what he's just been talking about, guys. The dedication he put in to getting that big blonde, and he did it. And when he phoned me up the next day and told me what had happened, how it went, the way he described how it went when he hooked the fish, how he had help from Stewie when he was trying to land the fish.
I'll tell
it was just phenomenal. For me, that was the most magical moment that I've had in fishing, was when he phoned me up and told me the next day, because I knew how much it meant to him. The mark I was fishing, you're probably about 30 foot up above the water level, and we're fishing in the daytime and that, and to land the fish you've got to take basically walk the fish around a big rock, and then someone's got to climb down to the bottom and land them off this rock. But it's a ball lake, and you could lose the fish from doing it. So there's an easier way of doing it, and I've set up a rope now, but at the time there wasn't a rope there. And in the daylight, I tried to get down onto this rock because it would have been easy. All you'd do is go like that and you're down. I couldn't get down there in the daylight. You know what I mean? It was just too high. So you imagine like going. It was just too high. So in the middle of the night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, me and Stewie Norris is fishing, and I've smashed this bait out. You know when I don't know if everybody does this, but I do it. You sometimes look at a bait and think, this is the one. And that's why, honestly, I do it, and I think I've never done that.
It was a sand deal.
I've never done that.
It was a sand deal with 2 big 7/0 hooks coming out of it, right, with a strip of squid going down the side of it, and it just looked spot on. And
right.
I think I just like
nice presentation.
Yeah, and the big long pulley rig. I wound my SUs up, smashed it out, right, and the rod tip just went down. Like as they come down, and it started pulling over in the tide. And one thing I know from the area I was fishing, when that tide starts to pull a certain way, that's when you've got a good chance of catching the fish. And within 10 minutes, my rod tip went like that, started taking line, and it started click, 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 and then started going off. I jumped on it and I said, this is the one. Whack! And the rod tip went poof. Now where I'm fishing, it's a bit different to some of the other marks because a lot of it's clean ground down there, but I'm fishing over rough ground, right? So basically I've got to try and get this fish up over the rough ground. So I'm literally leaning back, giving everything I can to the fish, pulling back up, just keeping the weight of it. Slowly, 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 just easing it, making sure that fish is lifted.
Yeah.
So I've lifted, and that's what I'm going down like that. I've got it through and I can see him coming up from the water, from the right. So Stewie said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I said, you're going to have to hold the rod, I'm going to jump down. He said, what? I said, just keep the tension in the rod. So I've got the fish like underneath the rock on me. There's no way in a million years he would have gone and done what I've done. Right? And I knew full well, if I brung it down, I didn't trust him to land it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Didn't trust him to land it. And I said, just totally keep the tension in the rod. So he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to jump down there. He said, you can't jump down there. And I basically come to the side of the rock.
You just dropped, didn't you?
Basically hung down like that on the side, and I just dropped off this cliff. And you're talking very high, right? I cut all my knee open as I hit the bottom.
Which you didn't feel?
I didn't, because of the adrenaline. I've got a gaff in my hand, right? Well, maybe even worse, right? So I've come down over the rock, and the swell's coming up over the rock in front of me.
Yeah.
But where Stewie, because Stewie's that high up, the fish has gone in against the rock, but he's let it go in underneath the rock. So I'm like that, trying to get the trace line back off. So I had to get the gaff, pull the trace line into me, being careful with the fish, come down like that, and pull it back around. But as I'm there, I can't let go of the fish now because I've got tension, and the water's coming in. So I basically lied down on the rock, the water come up over the top of me, and then come back over. And as it come back over, I put down the gaff and went into the gaff, and I thought I got one attempt to this, and I went to, like literally let go of the trace line and pulled up, and I felt. I thought, ideal.
You got him.
I got him. So as he come up, literally pulled the fish up like that. The water's come back over me. My head's above water now, but I'm still on the rock. So I'm like that. So I'm basically got to try and get this fish and me back up this rock. So I'm basically climbing like that. And he said, you're about 5 meters away, Webby. I said, what? So I'm free climbing up this cliff. And I got this gaff in my hand. I've literally passed it to Stu. As it got passed up to Stu, he grabbed hold of it. And managed to get up there, 27 pound 2 ounce blonde ray. But it's probably one of the most magical moments of my fishing. The only one what really beats it would be with the bass, when we put the bass back. That 12 pound bass. It was.
I mean, that was exceptional, mate.
Yeah, it just went to.
It was with the bass. It was the time that you took, you personally, me and Paul Lynch watching you, the time you took to help that fish recover because it struggled, but just to see it go off through the reeds and away up the river.
I've never been one for taking fish, and not for the fact of taking them, is especially I've got so much respect for that type of fish. You know what I mean? That's what I fish for, and it's so important to keep these fish alive. You know what I mean? And you see like wrasse and that as well. I think this is one of the slowest fish growers, and it takes them like 6 years to grow a pound, or something or other. I don't know if that's true. I was told that.
No, they are a slow-growing
thing. Yeah, you know what I mean?
And they only get to a certain size.
It's down to us. You imagine how the fishing's gone in the last 20 years. And you know what I mean? If it carries on, it's some of our grandchildren, and you know what I mean, so on and so on. The fishing's going to get worse and worse.
Would have been nothing there from me.
Oh, it's like now. You see how big the Norway scene is now.
Yeah.
Like Forteventura and stuff like that. And you can see why the guys do it, because a lot of the guys will go over catching a lot of the big fish and stuff. They don't catch over here. You know what I mean? They're catching a lot of smaller fish.
Yeah.
You can't blame them. You're going over to Norway and they're catching massive halibut and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And it's because obviously
I've seen a lot of the videos of Norway, and some of them are brilliant. I've got to say that.
To be honest, I went to Field Dells and it's a lovely experience.
Yeah.
It's lovely. You'd love it over there.
Yeah, I most probably would.
The only thing with your camera, you just take a camera. So.
Yeah.
But there you go, mate. Much appreciated.
Thanks for the honour of reversing roles here, mate. I'll be asking you questions. I'm sure there's a lot of guys watching that will enjoy looking at insight to you when you were younger and coming up through the years and what you're doing.
It's going to join me and Adam, obviously, throughout this, and we're going to do a few little sessions and stuff with our coastline. Hopefully, pull a few fish out to end the episode off. But to be honest, my experience, and one thing I would like to put across it is anybody who wants to do sea fishing or wants to do YouTube videos and wants to do stuff like that, is the fact of what it goes into it, because it's very hard work if you think about doing it, and especially the specimen sort of side and that, you've got to commit. commitment. And what my advice to anybody, because I can tell you that now, if I could relive the years what I've spent fishing, trying to target specimen fish and getting the fish I've had, or spending time with my family and that, I would love to reverse the roles.
Yeah.
Because your family is the most important thing in life, and the trouble is you only find that out once you get older.
But you are spending more time.
Yeah, I'm doing it now, but it's obviously I feel a lot of guilt and stuff now.
You can never make up for it, mate. But end of the day, what you lost is lost. You've got to look towards the future.
Yeah, of course you have. But you know, what the whole point of obviously sitting down in videos like this is trying to put it all across and let people learn, isn't it?
Okay.
Cheers, buddy.
All right,
Let's get it angling.
Cheers, guys.